I know I can't control where women in the sport go, and I know I can't control, people respecting women when they walk into the gym. But what I can control is how I've handled all of this up until now. And I went from being called a little pet project to, me and Cyborg headlining an event. And it's it's just an achievement. It's, that in itself has just been one of the biggest achievements I could have.
How are you dealing with that pressure this time around?
The intensity for this fight has been up, and the demand for doing all sorts of interviews, and it's been up, and it's kind of like, at one part of my life where I just want to focus and train, now I have to do all this other stuff. But the way I look at it is, if this is my life for right now, in this short window, I am blessed and grateful to be here, and I'm just gonna, I get negative sometimes, but I get upset with myself when I do, because I realize that I have a beautiful life.
I think that the biggest thing with Gina right now is that there's a lot of pressure on her because this is such a big fight. This is probably the biggest women's fight that we've had in MMA, and I think she feels that pressure. And having been in a lot of those situations throughout my career, I think finding some perspective to put those things in, to let go of a bunch of the stuff and just focus on what it is that's important and that she can control has been the area where I've been kind of tweaking her and trying to get in her head a little bit and keep her centered, keep her focused. She loves this sport. You get her here in the room, she trains as hard as anyone, and I think she needs to hang on to that. That's why she's doing this. All that other stuff takes care of itself.
I deal with all case scenarios every single day. Like, some days I'm like untouchable. I'm like, I should put anybody in there. I'm good. And then some days I'm like, anybody can beat my ass. I suck. What's wrong with me? Like, I go from two opposite extremes. But I think it's good for me to experience like the worst case scenario and the best case scenario in my head.
You got this pretty soft package with Gina, and then you got this not so soft, mean, aggressive looking fighter in Cyborg. And people tend to confuse the two. But Gina, she hits hard, she takes a good punch, she'll fight when she needs to fight. But she's also precise, clean, crisp, and sharp, like Anderson Silva or like a George St. Pierre. Like everybody knows, Cyborg is an aggressive, strong, straightforward fighter. I wouldn't classify her as a crisp, clean, precise fighter, but she's strong and aggressive, and you know what you get. You have someone that's coming right at you, and we're gonna try to keep her at the end of Gina's punches.
I think that Cyborg and me are both technical and strong in different areas, so that's why I kind of didn't really buy into the whole technical strong thing, because I think that we both have strength and technique in different areas. So just how that's going to play out, we'll see.
Gina, first of all, is just as big and physical as Cyborg is. They both cut weight pretty hard to make this 145-pound weight class. I think Gina is a much more technical striker, technical fighter than Cyborg is. Cyborg may have a little bit of a nod of experience in the jiu-jitsu portion and the ground portion, but Gina's not bad there either. We spent a lot of time, we've seen it on the ground in a couple of different fights, and she survives well there. She does a good job there, so I'm not worried about her in any position, and I think that the technical aspect of the fight is going to be in her favor. She needs to make Cyborg chase her, pick at her, hit her, make her pay. Cyborg wants to come forward. That's when she's strongest. When she gets tired, you see her pause, you see her back up. She doesn't fight well that way. So we're going to weather that initial storm until we see that pause. We start to see her give ground, and then I think we can hunt her down and pick her apart.
I would like to think that Cyborg gets frustrated and shoots at some point, which we're ready for.
Do you think Gina might end up on her back in that situation?
Yeah, she's been there before, and didn't get take too much damage. It's good transitions between being defensive or getting back to standing or being offensive.
So I just think it's gonna be rough. I'm naturally kind of like a slower starter than her. She just kind of jumps into it, but maybe it'll work to my advantage. I'm just trying to, as long as my mind's right, then I'm okay. Everything that I'm going through right now, all the pain that I've been going through with this training, is hopefully just gonna make that fight that much better.